Hello Bookstagram and welcome to my first coffee talk. So I'm just gonna sit here and drink coffee and talk. If you're wondering why I'm drinking out of my collectible Owl Crate mug, collectible. By the way, I don't edit these videos, so there will be no blooper reel. You will just see them. I love mugs. I drink from mugs. These mugs are actually super durable. And so if you're wondering why I'm drinking from it, I use my stuff. Also, I love coffee, so. Today, our subject is book formats. So, we have all the book formats we know and love. We have paperback. We have hardcover. Whoa, I almost just dropped that. And ebook. And then we have the illustriously controversial audiobook. These are my noise canceling headphones, just as a prop. So, the argument is that one is somehow better than the others. And everybody has their preferred mode of reading. Actually, I kind of don't. I like all book formats because I just love to read. And I have evolved over time how I read, what I read, and so why wouldn't my book formats as well? So I'm gonna bring up all the points that I always think about when people bring up this argument. So my number one argument is that they are all the same. They're all reading. Let's stop arguing and congratulate people for reading. Darn it, my earring keeps falling off and it's driving me nuts. Look, isn't it cute? They're these little cuff earrings and they keep falling off and they're driving me nuts. But okay, I'll fix them eventually. So I've got my little list of points here. All right, the first thing we are going to talk about is hardcovers. Okay, here's what I love about hardcovers. Number one, they are durable. You can read this 100 times and it's still going to be in good condition, especially if you put it in a book sleeve in your bag. It's really, there's no way it can get damaged unless you have a lot of sun on your shelves, which can fade the spine. Other than that, I mean, that sucker is going to be around 100 years from now. So I love that. To me, they are easier to hold. So I was a twirler for 8 years and I've got arthritis in my wrists at a very young age, which I shall not name. So it's really hard for me to hold a paperback book open. And that is partially because I refuse to crack a spine. So it's just kind of hard for me to hold because I end up holding it with my pinky in there and then my wrist hurts. And if you read in bed or whatever, it's an odd position to hold. Not that I don't read paperbacks, I still do. But I like a hardcover because of the way I hold it. I open it up, generally they stay open on their own, but even if they don't, you just rest your hand in it. So for people with arthritis like me, or just, if your hand gets tired, to me they're easier to hold. They also hold their value better. I don't know why paperbacks don't tend to hold their value, probably because they just get damaged over time. And also they're just prettier to me. I love a hardcover book. I love the, sometimes there's embossing on the inside of it. To me, they're just pretty. So that's what I love about paperback or hardcovers. What I don't love is that they're really hard to notate. You can put page flags in them, but I don't like to write in my books. So that makes them hard to notate for me. If you do like to write in them, they're still hard to notate because you only have a little bit of room on the edge of the page to notate. So like if you're a teacher or something like that and you need to take notes, it's hard. And then of course it is impossible to search for your notes. Same thing for paperback books. Now, paperback books are cheaper, let's face it. They're easier to find because once a book goes out of publishing hardcover, they'll publish it pretty much forever in paperback if it's a well-known book. So easy to find. If you crack the spines, they're probably easier to hold. I can't crack the spines. I just don't like the way it looks. It bothers me on the shelf when it gets that little arch in its spine. I don't know. I can't handle it. If you can, that's great. More power to you. I'm not dissing it. I just can't do it. So they are also, you just don't worry about, I feel like, abusing a paperback. I remember my first edition of Pride and Prejudice was basically falling apart. I mean, I had like scotch taped it back together by the time I finally got another copy. And that's how I started my Pride and Prejudice collection. I read the book so much, loved it so much, that when I went to buy a new one, I thought, let me get a paperback or a hardcover instead of a paperback, and it'll hold up longer. So I bought the hardcover, and it was actually the Mr. Boddington's edition at what is the name of that store? Anthropologie. And it became a collectible really quick because it sold out really quick. And when I saw it on my shelf, I just couldn't handle reading it because I thought, I'm going to damage this book and it's so pretty, I don't want to damage it, so I'll just go buy another one, and thus my collection began. So, and at first it was all hardcovers, but eventually I moved to paperbacks as well because there's some really cool ones out there. So let's move on to ebooks. So I have this Kindle. It's super old. I don't even remember when I got it. It's probably like 8 to 10 years old, and I got it for reading on the beach because the glare on your phone, you know, you can get Kindle apps, you can get all kinds of apps on your phone where you can read ebooks on your phone, but the glare on the screen is terrible if you're outside. So I got this for the beach. As you can see, it's totally dead because I hardly ever use it, but if I'm outside, this is what I'm gonna read with if I'm sitting on the porch or whatever, if I keep the darn thing charged, because I don't like to bring my books out of the house because I feel like I'm going to get damaged. Even in a book sleeve, I often do not carry them around with me. I will read ebooks. I've got one that I'm generally reading in my phone. I've got one that I'm generally reading that's a hardcover or paperback at home, and I've got an audiobook that I'm reading. The great thing about ebooks too is if you don't have a lot of space, they take up zero space. They're in your device forever. You get a new device, you just download the app, and they're in that device. So if you're limited on space, that is a huge benefit of ebooks. They never get destroyed. They never degrade over time. It's an audio file, and you still own it forever. So they're super convenient. The other great thing is, if you are reading like a series and you're reading it in an ebook, all of a sudden you get to the end. If you were doing that with a print book, guess what you'd have to do? You'd have to go to the bookstore and buy another one. With an ebook, you just get online and download the next one, and you can immediately keep reading. Now that's terrible for me since I review books, because I will just start right into the next one, and then it's hard for me to review the previous one without the knowledge of the second one in it. So, pluses and minuses. All right, let's move on to audiobooks, the most controversial of reading styles. Now, the obvious number one point that everybody brings up is, what about people that can't see, people that get headaches when they stare at a page for too long, or just get migraines easily, people that don't see well, lots of reasons, people that are dyslexic. There's so many reasons why somebody would have trouble reading a print book, and they can listen easier. So that's the number one argument I see. I don't have that problem. I can see well. I love all, formats of books, but I have an hour and a half commute in the morning, and that's why I started reading audiobooks, because I just don't want to sit in a car for an hour and a half in the morning and waste all that time. So I spend it reading audiobooks. I see no difference in that and reading a regular book, other than not going to get in a car accident in the car reading an audiobook. There have been so many studies done on this, because it's a popular argument that, hey, it's not really reading. They have done studies that show that it triggers the same areas of the brain as regular reading. All the teachers, if you have children, I have a 7, 5, and 2-year-old. Every teacher, every school, every article you read says the biggest indicator of both intelligence and success is reading to your kids. Now, it doesn't say making your kids read. It says reading to your kids. If you're reading to them, then they're listening to a book. It's just like an ebook. So that would follow that it holds all the same benefits of reading themselves. In addition, so my brother in high school just struggled to read. It wasn't his thing. He didn't love to do it. So he almost failed high school English. My dad called me one day. I was in college, and he said, I don't know how to get him through this class. I don't read either. And he's going to end up taking summer school. And then he's probably going to end up failing the summer school class, because it's the same thing. He's still struggling to read. He just sits there with the book and stares at it, and he just doesn't retain it. It's not a learning disability, it's just a lack of interest in reading. So I bought him the audiobooks. Now at the time there wasn't Audible or anything like that. There were books on tape. So that's what I bought him. And guess what? He was able to listen to them. So to me, if you can listen to a book and be interested, but you can't read a book and be interested, that's, I mean, a great argument for audiobooks being the same as print books. The only thing I don't love about audiobooks is that they're hard to notate. So if I'm taking notes for a review or something like that, I have to put little flags in them, and then I have to dictate what I want to read, and obviously the dictate is terrible on everybody's phone. It does not ever dictate exactly what I say. And then when I go back through to find the quotes, I have to like listen to the quotes like 5 or 6 times to type them all out. So it's not ideal for a reviewer, especially if you're in the car and then you can't really, type exactly what you want to say. You just have to dictate it and kind of hope for the best. It doesn't stop me from doing it. I do it anyway, but it's just a little harder. Different format, different way of doing things. I still do it. I still love it. And so those are my feelings on the different formats of books. I read all of them, all different kinds. And I know there probably aren't a whole lot of people that do that. So I feel like I'm more apt to say that all of them are the same since I do all of them. But I would love to hear what you think and what your favorite format of book is. So leave me a comment below and let's discuss, and let's try to keep it civil because this argument often turns ugly. Let's not do that here. Thanks.